welcome to Dog on the Plot. I'm Kerry, Dory's over there, and we're heading to the plot in just a moment because some big changes on the plot even within just the last week. But there's a job I have to do in the garden first. So it's one of those weekends where I haven't got all that much time, so it's really just today, and I haven't made a list, so it's a bit of a see it, do it day. And I've actually been up really early this morning, so I started pricking out seedlings at 6:30 this morning. It was a good job done. There was lots that needed doing, and I really wanted to clear those out of the way before I start my next lot of sowings. And of course, the next lot of sowings includes tomatoes, which I hope we're going to talk about today as well. But while I was doing my pricking out, I had Gardener's World on in the background, and Monty reminded me that I should have already pruned down my clematis. So you ideally do that in February, which I have done in the past, but forgot. And I've been waiting to do it because I want to fix the arches. Now this clematis is a type 3. Which means it flowers later in the summer into the autumn. This has a beautiful double purple flower. I'll put a picture on the screen if I can find one. And you actually take all of this down. In fact, there's 2 of them. I've got one on either side of the arch, but this is the one that does well. But that one, it did hold its own last year. You prune it down right almost to the ground, about 30 centimetres, 20 to 30 centimetres from the ground where there's a bud. But oh, it's such a shame because look, there are all buds on it already. But if I left it and just left those buds to go, it would be all this dead material and then a sprawling mess at the top. And what of course you want is flowers all the way up and round the arch. So it's got to come off. So I think the best thing to do is sort of cut it down a bit higher up first and try and get some of this dead material off. Be great for the compost heap. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to worry too much about the arch because it's already quite broken. But yeah, these arches, they don't last forever. I could invest, couldn't I? Get some really nice wooden ones. Dory, you're not supposed to be on there. Well, I actually appear to have more shoots than I thought I did. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then that's these couple of small ones, but oh, they've come out with the stick. So yeah, all right. But there's loads of new shoots at the bottom here, which is really exciting. So Monty said, be brave and cut to the lowest bud, which for this one is just there. Actually, that bud is coming off there, but I shall keep them both because they are very low down. This one, there is a bud, tiny bud there, but I think I'll go for that one. And this one, just there then. Oh, yeah, brave, brave. So this arch, it looks pretty done for, if I'm honest. I might see what repairs I can do with that. Or I might just take it down to the plot because obviously it doesn't matter if it doesn't look quite so nice down there. This one is holding on though. So I'm going to train the passiflora now, which I've untangled from all the sweet pea foliage, but it's all tangled in itself. But I'm going to thread this over here now. I did have one on this side and yeah, doesn't look like it's still there. This is all sweet pea foliage again, so we'll get rid of that. Now, while I'm on a roll with the secateurs, I might just take a look at this jostaberry. I did the one on the plot. This one is, yeah, it's got massive. I'm going to take this down by a third. Oh, try and go for an outward facing bud. Let's inward facing, now is outward. There's outward. And then I'm gonna take this one out, I think, because it comes across the path. And maybe all of these on this side, actually. These are big stems. I think I'm gonna need the electric pruners for those. Here we go. Fingers well out of the way. Oh, it seems a shame to do it, but it really does get in the way when you're coming across the path. Right at the bottom. Oh, like butter. I think the rest are okay. Although this branch is crossing with this one, but this one is the one that's facing inwards. So I'm going to get rid of that one, which does open up the plant a little bit more. This is too congested, this area. I've got the josterberry, the goji berry, and a rhubarb in the middle of them. Really, I want to move the rhubarb over there. And it is the time to divide a rhubarb. This one's just emerging. See it do it? Wasn't planning on doing that. Shall we, Dory? Shall we do it? Shall we do it? Let's go get a fork, spade. Right, I've just cleared that spot where I'm moving it to. Those were all tubs with berries in that are for the allotment, so I shall take those down later perhaps. Right, I saw someone doing this on Instagram the other day and they were brutal. So I think you just kind of, actually probably a spade would be better because you really want to cut it, don't you? Right, try again. So this person just went in there and took a chunk out. But I want to take the whole thing out, really, don't I? Let's see. Ooh. And you want to take as much as the root as you can. I don't want to disturb the josterberry too much. And this is quite a well-established rhubarb now. Oh, this is one of those times where you start a job and think, why did I start that? Why am I doing that? Oh my goodness, there was a big chunk of it. I could actually, well, I will divide it as well. Oh, there it is. There we go. There's a chunk of it. And that is the crown. Oh, wow. Huge. Huge. Look at that. Oh my goodness. So that's the main crown there. And then I've got a smaller one just there. And then 2 bits of tuber as well, which I think probably will take. What I'll do is pot those up and then they can be passed along at some point. I'm going to put the big one here and I might think about moving this little one onto the plot. I do have 2 rhubarbs potted up in the greenhouse that I grew from seed and one on the plot. And we already have just a ton of rhubarb on the plot. So yeah, I'll have to think about it. I've tried to grow all sorts of things in this bed over the years. I started with raspberries. That was the first thing that was in this square. I've got the Jerusalem artichokes there, gooseberries there, and then the josterberry and the goji berry there. So it is still quite a berry bed and a perennial bed. But this square I've tried, it's got fennel, it's got bronze fennel in, and that does fine here. But I think I tried to put asparagus in here. I tried to put, I think, some brassicas in here, but they've never done that well. And of course, this whole square was the old pond when I first moved in. That's what this was. A duck pond, a fish pond. But it, yes, it was, Dory. Do you remember? It started leaking and all the fish died and it was really traumatic. And then we emptied it and made it into my very first veg bed or fruit bush bed. But yeah, my first grow your own space, really. Right, let's just water that hole a bit. There's pretty good soil here. The problem is it doesn't get an awful lot of light. But I think the rhubarb will be okay. I hope so. I won't be harvesting from it now this year. But hopefully it will establish quite well. I might harvest some Jerusalem artichokes as well while I'm down here. See it do it. It stinks down here. I think the cats have been using this bed. It's hard to see. Oh, there's a stalk. Maybe there's some there. Oh, some. Yeah, there is. Oh my goodness. How many times have you seen me harvesting Jerusalem artichokes now this year? It has definitely been the crop that keeps on giving. Yeah, it's so convenient though to have a crop that you don't have to store, you don't have to think about, and you just like, you see it and think, oh yeah, sure, I'll have some Jerusalem artichokes tonight. Right, that's plenty. Okay, put that back. They will all resprout for next year. And I'll have another huge bed of Jerusalem artichokes again, and you get all that wonderful foliage, which actually also will slightly shade out the rhubarb. I've actually got some dwarf artichokes to plant. They were from Claire at the Farmyard Garden. They're on the plot in a bucket, but perhaps now is the time to put them in, because I think I know where I want them to go. Right, remember that for when we get down the plot. Oh, take a look at this. So this is three-cornered leek. And I did purposely put it in. This is the perennial invasive side of the garden. I've got all my mint there. There's wild garlic behind the ornamental beehive. So I'm quite happy for it to be here and to spread here. Red vein sorrel spreads everywhere in my garden, but it can here. And yeah, three-cornered leek. Oh, oh, smells amazing. Right, this looks ready to go in now. I make sure we get it the right way around, and all the new growth is on the top there, and in it goes. Pop the roots so they're stuck in. And you do want a rhubarb a little bit proud of the soil, and I think that should be okay. I'll do some of that around here. Right, final thing, water it in well. Oh, I'm really pleased with that. That was not something I expected to do today. And it's something I've been meaning to do for an awfully long time. So that's great. Okay, right, live. Right, we've made it to the plot, and there are no changes on my plot. I've been at work all week, so it looks exactly as it did on the plot tour last week. Now, Mark, on the other hand, has had 3 days off work, and I don't think you're going to believe what he achieved in 3 days. So if you cast your mind back to the plot tour last week, I'm talking about the section that is the new bit of the plot. So this is going to be my sister's flower garden. And it was covered in black plastic, and Mark pulled up the plastic and he'd made a path. He took down that structure, and we were pruning the trees back at the very back of it. But yeah, let me show you. So if we come back past his existing greenhouse, you can see that the new greenhouse, the greenhouse mansion, is now in place. And it's not only in place, but it's paved. But if that, I mean, that's not it. Look at this. Oh my goodness. In just 3 days, he has built 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, is it 9, 10? So the timber didn't actually arrive until the Thursday. So I think I'd come down here Wednesday night, and he was a bit annoyed that the delivery hadn't turned up on the Wednesday and they delayed it to the Thursday. But he had started prepping the area, but the greenhouse wasn't in at that point. So on the Thursday, he must have made all these beds and done the greenhouse. And if I just swing around a little bit here, he's had a massive delivery of compost as well. Actually, it's the same guy who delivered my compost last year. And I'd been dithering about it because I wasn't sure that this plot was accessible in the way that the last plot was. But clearly the guy was able to do it for Mark. So I shall be ordering some compost soon. I think he'll have to go in the same spot. So as soon as Mark's cleared his and put it into these new beds, then I'll order mine. But yeah, incredible, isn't it? How much you can do when you've got some clear time just to dedicate to it. And also you've got kind of the skill and the strength and the dedication of Mark. So when I got down here this morning, there was a whole crowd of people at the end of the plot there just looking at all the work that he had been doing, because this has been an unworked plot for an awfully long time. Perhaps this is a good time as well to address a comment that I got last week. And to be honest, I'm surprised I didn't get more comments like this, because here we are expanding our growing space. We took on another half plot to add to our 1.5 that we already had. And actually this one is really, it could be 2. So it's quite a lot of space, and it's awesome for us, but I can understand that it might be a bit hard to watch for people who are sitting on waiting lists. And I really do appreciate that. And I feel like I should have addressed that last week. In Leicestershire, we are very well provided for allotment sites. So there are 100+ plots on this site. We have a sister site a couple of roads away, and that has another 100+ plots on it. We are very close to the second largest allotment site in Leicestershire, which must have 200 or 300 plots on it. And actually, when we were there last summer, for their open day, there were a lot of abandoned plots that weren't being worked. We did have a waiting list here for a little while, but our steward is really good now. She whipped through it and she got the people who really did want plots onto the site. We've now got 2 plots, I think, that are not being worked and are available, and we have to actively look now for people to take on those plots. So waiting lists aren't our problem here. Our problem is getting people in to actually work plots, and the fact that we are willing to take on a plot that was quite overgrown and work it is very pleasing to everybody around the site. So I hope that clears that up, and I do really feel for the people who are sitting on waiting lists, and I hope, yeah, that it's not too galling to watch us kind of expand our space, and instead we can inspire. So Mark is clearly putting me to shame on my side of the plot, so I need to think about what job that I want to do today. So right, see it, do it. I mean, the thing I saw last week, wasn't it, was these strawberries, and I said I've been putting it off. Shall I do it? Clear this wood out of the way, get into these strawberry beds and have a good sort out, and then I might add some of the things that I brought down to the Fruit Tree Guild. Okay, that's the plan. So this is a new one on me. I haven't had to clear a strawberry bed before. All my strawberries in the home garden are fairly young. I've took out the obvious weeds. I can see new growth in here, but also a lot of dead material. So I think what I'm going to do is just pull the dead material. And if I find a nice little rooted strawberry on there, I'll snap it off and put it in that bucket to be replanted. So rubbish in this bucket, good stuff in the other one. Right, let's go for it. So it wasn't my intention, I don't think, to do both of these beds, but someone had a chainsaw out, so I couldn't film anyway. So that was quite good. Maybe do both. And they look great now. And I've just leveled out the asparagus bed as well. I've got 2 buckets now full of strawberries. Some of them are the more established plants. Some of them are the little tiny ones off of runners. So I've got quite a mix. And I'm going to put those into the Fruit Tree Guild now, and that's freed up these 2 beds. And one of the things that I want to put into them is in here. And this is the bucket that I put the Jerusalem artichokes in that Claire sent me. So these are a dwarf variety, and they're not supposed to be invasive, but even so, I thought I might put them in that raised beds to kind of contain them in that area. And I'm just hoping that they've been okay in here. So, oh, I can feel them. They feel firm. Yep, let's go tip them out. It's actually quite cold today, so I've borrowed Mark's scruff jumper so that keep a little bit warmer. Right, let's have a look. Let's see if they're all right. Oh, they've got roots. I don't think I was expecting them to have roots. I thought they were just going to be stored in here, but no. Oh, wow. Yeah, they're doing great then. Let's separate them out quite carefully then. I think she sent me about 10. which is quite a lot, really. But I'm going to put them all into this bed, unless Mark wants some, or Becky. There we go. Wow. Oh, worms in here as well. Yeah, okay. Brilliant. So, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Have we got a 9th? Let's have a look. Oh, there's a tiny one. 9. Oh, perfect. Mark, you don't want any Jerusalem artichokes, do you? I didn't think you would. Right, they're all going in here then. Look at them. Right then, I think fairly deep, I should imagine. What do you think, Dory? Fairly deep? There we go. Oh dear. Huh. Let me show you this. Now that, I believe, is a wireworm. You see it? They are not ideal. Yeah, wireworm. Wireworm is the larvae of the click beetle, and you especially get them in raised beds that are built over grass, and I did have them, or have them, do have them in the home garden. I've noticed them before in there, and I buried bits of potato because that draws them to it and you can get them out doing that. But I never did find the potato again. I buried it, and I think Dory probably ate it. So it's not ideal. Larvae feed on roots and young plants and tubers. Here I am putting Jerusalem artichokes into a bed that has them. I've noticed them in one of these, I think, when I was digging around before, maybe when I put the josterberry in, and I have noticed them in the fruit tree guild as well, but only the odd one. It's not like it's riddled. So let's just, fingers crossed, that it's not going to end up being a real problem. Now, unfortunately, I'm almost out of charge, so I'm going to put in this lemon balm, and I've got another yellow raspberry to put in, but I shall catch you tomorrow, and I shall bring you back to the plot at some point and show you what Mark's been up to today. Okay, I see you tomorrow. Well, the weekend rather got away from me, but it's now Monday evening, it's after work, and I have set myself up to do some sowings. And I promised at the start of the video that we would talk about tomatoes, and we will, but just to start, look at that bad boy. This is the early cucumber, the bush cucumber from Yorkshire Seeds. and it's growing magnificently. Now you might remember I had two, but I've just actually taken one to my mum's house so she can see if she can grow on that one, and I'm going to try and grow on that one to get early indoor cucumbers. Now, tomatoes. So I actually put a poll up on my community page a few weeks ago to see if you could guess how many different varieties of tomatoes that I'm growing. And my favourite comment on that post was somebody who said, I'm voting 16 because the other numbers are insane. Well, it was the highest number, 54 varieties, and actually it's higher than that now. But I've already started my sowing. So I've already done the beefsteak. I did those last week and they're already come up quite a lot. They need potting on because they're getting a little bit leggy. But that's what I'm going to do, is stagger my tomato sowings this year, just to make it easier on myself, because there are so many varieties that I'm sowing, also to make the shuffling of the seedlings easier. So you're going from propagator under the grow lights and then eventually into the greenhouse. So I'll do beefsteak first, have done. The next lot I'll do are the salad, then I'll do the cherries, then I'll do the cooking and the bush ones, I think in that order. Now, in all honesty, I've got rather behind with my March sowings. I did the beefsteak tomatoes, I did a couple of other bits, the cosmos, but otherwise I just haven't had time. And the other day I got out all the seeds that were for the first 2 weeks of March, and this is all of them. So see it, do it. I'm looking at it. I'm going to sow some of these. But first I'm going to put on these tomatoes and tell you a little bit about the beefsteak ones that I'm doing. So I've got a tray here, CD60 tray, that I've just put some multi-purpose compost peat-free with perlite, and I've just watered it and it's ready now to prick out the seedlings. Now my plan was to just keep one seedling of every variety, and that's the overall plan really, is to have lots of variety this year but only grow one of each, taste test them all, whittle it down so that the following year I'm only growing my favourites. But some have only got one, that's fine. But what about these ones with three? I did sow 3 seeds to ensure germination. And in fact, I have got at least one seedling of every variety, so that's good. But yeah, time to be a bit ruthless, I think. Well, let's do the ones that have only got one first. So the first one is pork chop. Pork chop is one that I did grow last year and really liked. So I am growing that one again this year. I do feel that with the tomatoes that I grew last year, it wasn't a very fair year to judge them on because it just wasn't great weather. Alice's Dream, I've got one of those. In fact, I've got a tiny one there, but I shan't do that one. Just take the strongest. Ooh. And I am taking these very young. They haven't got any true leaves yet. I'm just taking them with the seed leaves because I do want to keep burying them deep. Because unfortunately, when you're keeping them in the house, even with grow lights, they do tend to get leggy. Okay, and then I've got one orange Russian. So this one is a new one to me. Now I've got 3 of the Omar's Lebanese. I'm just going to take that middle one. Oh, it's difficult. It is difficult as well because I don't know, if one fails, then that's it. And you would think, well, I had 3. Maybe I'll do 2. I'll do 2, then I'll have a backup. Okay. And then if it both grow nicely, I can give one away. But I'm only doing 2. I'm not doing the whole 3. So that one sacrificed. Right, this one's Dr. Weitsch's Yellow. This one is from Ali at the Right Pear Plot. It's not the greatest looking seed leaves, but there's only one come up. So let's hope it's happy when it's been repotted and we get some nice true leaves on it. And then I've also got black crim, pink brandywine, Josie's beefsteak. I don't actually know what that variety is, only that my sister grew. Now, hang on a second, look at this. Now, this is not the first instance of dampening off, which is what I think is going on here, that I've had. And I'm a bit concerned about it, actually. So concerned that all the tubs that I've been using, I washed them, but then I also dishwashed them to hopefully, if there's any fungal residue in them, that's got rid of them. I did not know if these pots were suitable for the dishwasher. It doesn't say on it. I probably should have tested one before putting a whole pile in, but I didn't. But I can confirm now. I've done the scary thing for you. I can confirm these pots are suitable for the dishwasher. Anyway, it's good to pot these on quickly then, because if there is dampening off, it's best to get the ones that are healthy out of this soil. But yeah, it's happened with the chard, and was one other thing, I think a flower. When I'm at work or at Liam's, I think my house just gets really quite cold. And if you've got cold, damp compost, that's when the dampening off happens. Right, that's a couple of black crims in there. Oh yeah, I was telling you my varieties, wasn't I? So where did we get to? The Josie's beefsteak. Now, I don't know what variety that is, except that my sister grew it one year and it was nice and we saved seed from it. So it's just called Josie's beefsteak now. I've also got Marsha's Starfighter beef, purple Cherokee, Paul Robeson, I've got Cowboy, I've got Flame, and Old German is one that I did last year. But lots of these are brand new to me and I'm very excited to try them. So pink brandy wine. So that's the beefsteak ones done, and they're back under the grow lights now. And then the next lot to be done are the salad. So for the salad tomatoes, we have orange vine tomato. Oh, this is the Czech breast from Real Seeds. We've got old tomato seed there. That's green zebra. That one's from Ali. That's Kazula number 133. We've got King George. That one's from Nick the Grief. A Tamina one, which is super old. I doubt we'll get any germination from that. The Barrow Red. Tomato Blue Fire, did that maybe not last year, the year before. Sartre Lois, really looking forward to that one. Pink Flamingo Striped looks amazing. I've got Indigo Apple I did last year. Prairie Fire Tomato is new. These are all from Ali. Crushed Heart Tomato, Black Trifeli, Tigerella, Classic Moneymaker. Zat Lava is my saved seed. I've got Rebel Starfighter Prime, Black Beauty, and St. Pierre. Now, I am aware that this is excessive. I grew 23 plants in the greenhouse last year, 23 tomatoes, and this year I've got 2 more greenhouses and the polytunnel. So I am confident that I've got the space for all of these, although I'm adding in cucumbers and loofahs and melons. What I'm less confident about is my ability to juggle it all the seedlings. But I'm gonna soldier on, push through, and see what happens. And hopefully I get most of these to planting out stage. Right, I'm going to get on with planting these and all of these, and then I'm going to meet you in the morning down at the plot, because as well as see it do it, I seem to have been doing see it buy it. And there's a couple of more things that I want to take down the plot to plant. And we better also check in and see what Mark achieved on Sunday, see how far the transformation has progressed. So I'll catch you in the morning. Every time I come down, there's something new to see. So Mark has put the pea gravel now in between the beds. He has put membrane down underneath, and the greenhouse is glazed. Not only did he glaze this greenhouse, but my cousin had some panes missing and he finished hers off as well. Bless him. So yeah, very hard work. It looks like the pile of compost is still there though, so I shan't order mine just yet. Oh, and look. He's already got some flowers in this bed, and actually he's put some compost in this bed. So he's got some primula. I think these were donated from someone else on the allotment. And I can see poking up through the soil that he's put some daffs in as well. I did say I'm not sure they're going to do much being planted at this time of year, but better in the ground than out. Dory, my sister did say that it's looking better than their home garden now. But yeah, it's put an awful lot of work in. A lot of cost as well though. But yeah, looking really fantastic. Right, to my plot though, and a slightly more budget-friendly endeavour probably. Now, when I left you on Saturday, I took out all the strawberries. They are now all planted in the Fruit Tree Guild. So a mix of more established and young strawberries from runners. But I've got some new things to put in here as well. So the first one I already had is this Japanese wineberry, and that was from my cousin for my birthday. And I did pot it on when I got it because I knew I wanted it on the allotment and it wasn't ready to come out at that point. Now it is a climber, so I'm thinking probably over the arches or somewhere, but yeah, probably not suitable for the Fruit Tree Guild. However, the other one is a blackcurrant. Now, I have a blackcurrant. It's either that one or that one. I'm not sure which way round they are, but I love blackcurrants. I also have one in the home garden, and I couldn't resist this one because it's a different variety. This one is called Black Marble, and it's meant to be really productive and very juicy, and I think the biggest blackcurrant berries that you can get. So that one was reduced to £5, and so was this one. And I can't resist a bargain, but I also can't resist an unusual berry, hence the Japanese wineberry. And this one I had never heard of. It's called a tummelberry. Have you heard of that? It's like a tayberry, so it's a raspberry and blackberry mix, and it says, attractive large fruits similar to the tayberry have an intense and distinctive flavour. So I am all for that. If it's anything like the tayberry, it's going to be a real sprawling climber. So I might have to put that with the Japanese wineberry, but the blackcurrant can go in the Fruit Tree Guild. Now the big bucket that you saw me get out of the car is a honeyberry. In fact, it's 2 honeyberries, and I have 2 because although they can self-pollinate, it is better to have 2. A honeyberry is a bit like a blueberry. It's an elongated blue fruit, and this has fruited. It's been in this pot for a couple of years in the home garden now, fairly neglected, and I think probably a bit stressed because the fruits that I've tasted are really quite bitter. They're not that pleasant. So I thought I'd bring it down to the allotment, add it into the Fruit Tree Guild and see if it's any happier in here. And plus, the advantage of the honeyberry over the blueberry is it doesn't need ericaceous soil. Now Mark has a honeyberry as well, so that's even more pollinating partners. Yeah, we'll see how it does. I think if it fruits this year and it's still a bit nasty, I might give up on them, or, you know, they're just an ornamental. In fact, rather than the Fruit Tree Guild, perhaps they could go into this bed next to the josterberry. Yeah, I might do that. Now it's the spring equinox this week and you can feel it. It definitely feels like spring is in the air now. And there's a couple of things that have popped up on the allotment that I want to show you. One of which is the field beans that I sowed. So there's one coming up there. There's a couple over there as well. And the broad beans that I planted out are absolutely fine. So we have had some cold temperatures overnight, but they have not been touched at all. They look absolutely fine, so that's great. And one more thing, these just on the edge of the brassica bed are Camassia bulbs. And I've got 6 in this bed. And I couldn't be more chuffed that they are coming up. They like clay soil, they like really wet ground, so I'm hoping that they're going to be happy on the plot. What doesn't like wet ground but looks happy is the garlic and the onions. They're doing really well now. And I really just can't wait to get a fresh layer of compost onto all these beds as a nice nutritious mulch for them. I've just picked some of the Asian greens to take home. I want to thank you for watching this episode, but also for helping me get to 5,000 subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you. It makes such a difference to the channel, so thank you. I hope you have a good week. I hope to see you next week. Take care.